All right, welcome to Old School Programming. For this video, we're going to be looking at Basic, Microsoft's Basic throughout the years. I'm going to be using a few of their versions. We'll start with the GW Basic, which is what you see on the screen right now. Then we'll do Quick Basic, and then Visual Basic for DOS. And finally, we'll do bb.net, through Visual Studio on Windows 11. And I'm gonna be using also JOJO at the very end. So several versions of the same program. Now here what we have is called B demo for basic demo. And as you can see on the screen, I start with making some comments. I'm gonna be highlighting these. This is the text right here. Just making a comments of what the program will do. This is my name, obviously, and I put in a demonstration of variable declarations, basic input output, some basic math functions, some logical operators, loops, and arrays. This program is not intended to do the most efficient way of doing something. It is a very simple kind of look how it's done kind of thing. So don't expect this program to break records in speed or anything like that. And by no means this is the best way of doing this. This is just a demonstration, and that is all, a demonstration. And I like this to be taken like that. So the first thing I do is clear the screen. I print what I'm doing, what this area is. Here it is. And then I'm making a comment. Now in GW Basic, we didn't have to declare variables, integer variables. I mean, we could, but we didn't have to, especially not for a sample like this. So, but I do for an array because it's over 10 elements, I have to do a declaration. So I declare my array for 25 items. And you'll see what I'm going to use in it later. Lines 110, I start with basic addition. And here's what it does. Basically, I ask for values of A and B. I calculate C equals A plus B, and then I print them out. That's all it's doing, printing A plus B on the screen. Then I'm going to print some basic functions. I'm not going to ask for what the values are. Basically, I'm saying, look, the absolute value of negative 15 is, and I'm printing the absolute value of negative 15. I'm letting GW Basic do the function, whether it's a square root, sine, logarithmics, absolute value, whatever it is. And this str $ obviously is converting a numeric into a string, which I'm concatenating into the text, right? Because I'm using text. Then I'm going to do a simple if then else, very simple if then else statement. So what is your age? And I'll ask for age. If it's under 18, you're too young to drive. Else, print you can drive. And you can see there's a colon right here. There's a colon. I'm going to highlight it. And what this colon is obviously it means a new line, right? It's in GW Basic. Then I'm going to do a little bit of loops. And this is a little bit longer only because it's doing several things. I'm getting 25 random numbers between 1 and 100. Then I'm sorting out and using a bubble sort. So not the fastest sorting algorithm that's out there, but it's only 25 numbers. And it's, no big deal. It's just a demonstration that you can do array manipulation. And then I'm going to print them on the screen. So that's all this program does. It adds a couple numbers, it prints a few functions, and makes a logical operation here. And then it does a little bit of loops, and that's all. And now let's see how that looks in GW Basic. Okay, so here's my GW Basic. Since I'm doing this on a MacBook Pro with the M1 processor, I'm using DOSBox version 0.74-3-3. And I have GW Basic, sorry. And here's my program. I'm going to do a list. The same text that I have shown originally. I'm going to list now up to 200 for the remainder. And I'm doing this only because it doesn't fit all on the screen, but it's the same listing that I've just shown you. Now let's run the program. And again, it prints my name and what it does. I'm asking for a value of A. I'm going to put in 4. Then I'm going to put in 3 for the value of B. And it's going to say, hey, 4 plus 3 equals 7. Then It's going to give me the values for the absolute value of -15, for the square root, sine, tangent, logarithmic. Now, here's the if then else statement. What is your age? I'm going to put in 12. And obviously, I'm going to be too young to drive. So it's going to say too young to drive. And then it's going to print 25 numbers sorted, in ascending order. And there it is. That's what the program does. Now the next example will be in Quick Basic, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to show you the source code first, and then I'm going to show you the program. So here we go. All right, so here we are in Quick Basic now. What we're seeing here on the screen is actually the code for the same program that I did in JOJO Basic. It's called BDemo for Basic Demo. As you can see, we start with declaration of my subroutines. Now that I'm in a more modern basic IDE as opposed to GW Basics, I no longer have the line numbers and I now have subroutines. I could have used go sub in GW Basic. Of course, I could have, but I didn't have to. I was just doing a linear program to demonstrate, 4 things that you can do in Basic. I clear my screen, I print out what it does, and I call each one of my functions. Then here is the code for each one of them. Again, I still don't have to declare variables, only my array. Here's my functions with the absolute square root, sine, tangent, and logarithmic. My if, then, else. And here's the adding. This is my bubble sort right here. Again, not going for speed or anything like that, just a demonstration of abilities of the program. So here we are now in the Quick Basic program. I'm still using DOSBox because that's what I'm using here on my Mac. And here's the declare subs. And here's the clearing the screen, printing what I do, and calling the functions. And of course, because I'm in Visual Basic, in Quick Basic, I can go to View, click Subs. I'll click on Erase, Edit Inactive, and here's the bubble sort. If I go View, Subs, Funcs, here's where I print the functions. View, Subs, Logic. Again, very similar to the GW Basic program, except that obviously I don't have line numbers. That's the only real main reason, right? It's the only main reason. Here's my math. I'm asking for 2 numbers. I do use dim for A, B, and C. And I print out the variable. Okay, so now look at this. I'm going to go to the main program, and I'm going to go ahead and run it. I'm not going to compile it. As we know, I can make an executable file. Here it is. I don't really need to do it. I'm just going to run it because that's all it's going to do. So I'll click run. What is the value A? I'm going to put 4, then 3. 4 plus 3 equals 7. Again, now the absolute, the square root, sine, tangent, and logarithmic. Now it's asking for my age. I'm going to say 23. So great, I can drive. And here is my sort, my bubble sort. And only because of the way I'm doing this sort is doing all these little fractions. I could have done it with integers, but that's just the way I did it because I was doing this in a way. So, and there it is. Now we're about to do a nice little jump because I'm going to go from Quick Basic to Microsoft's first and only Visual Basic for MS-DOS. So let's check it out. Okay, guys, so here is the BDemo FRM. Please notice the extension has changed, and we'll go over this a little bit because this is the first and only Visual Basic for MS-DOS. I'd never owned this copy when it came out. I have to admit that I didn't use it. In fact, I jumped from Quick Basic to Visual Basic for Windows, right? But not for DOS. So, but anyways, in as you will see in a few moments, in Visual Basic for DOS, you create forms, And on those forms, you put in buttons and frames and labels, text boxes, and what have you, just like it is in the Windows version, identical, but for DOS. It's just, to me, it's just awesome. So when I created these the text file for the recreation of this form, obviously put in version 1.0. It doesn't say that it's Microsoft Visual Basic for DOS, but that's what it is. And it gives me the name of the form, and it gives me all of the settings, just like it would in a Visual Basic for Windows, program. Here's the frame. I use some frames. I use for some labels. The text file is very long because it's giving me all the attributes of each one of the elements that I put on the form. And I'm going to go over all of them right now. Just want to show you all of these things, the colors and all that. Even though I use the, I didn't go changing colors or alignments or things like that. It automatically gives me everything in case I wanted to start from scratch and reproduce the file, right? Now, after is done all of this, then it starts with the subroutines for each one. For example, this is the basic math click, BDMOFR math visible equals -1, which is true, right? The -1 is true. 0 is for false. And then I put in a set focus. This is for my math operations. And then for the buttons, each one of the elements in my Visual Basic form will have a subroutine associated with it where something will happen, whatever it is, make something invisible, print something, like in this case, button functions click, and I'm saying, hey, label BL functions one caption equals this, obviously it's for the part where I'm printing the math thing. And when I load the form, the Windows state, so yeah, this is the text file that it creates in Visual Basic for DOS. I thought it was very awesome. It looks just like the Windows version, but in DOS. Now, let me show you how that looks. Okay, so this is what the Visual Basic for DOS looks like. As you can see, I have a window called BDEMOFRM, which I just showed you the code. I can move this window up like that. To fill more of the screen. There's no code on the original window here. Most of the code is on the functions, on the subroutines, I'm sorry. But let me show you what the form looks like. I'm going to click on form, and this is the form. I can click this button right here. It shows you what the form looks like. It looks like again, it's amazing to me that it looks like a Windows Visual Basic form, but in DOS. And each one of these buttons will do something. This will do something, this will do something, and so on. And then these are our frames. And here's a clear button. And each one of the frames I put on top of the others, so you can't see them from here. But it is amazing. Now, if I want to see what the code is, there's two ways of doing this. You can go to view and check out the code. Click on OK. They're modified. I don't want to save them right now because I haven't done anything. And I can go to view, and here are there's all the buttons. See, all the buttons. And I'm going to click on that one, edit and active. And there is the text right here. Make one form visible and set the focus. Give view. See, I can view all my forms. I can view my code and go in, I don't know, let's say form click, button logical click, for example, edit and active, and there it is. Just like I showed you on the code for that I just showed you right now, the code with all the form text, where it shows me all of the parameters, and then it shows me all of the attributes, and it shows me everything. This is so neat. Code, click on something, edit and active, and it shows me what it does. Go to form, and then it loads the form, and there it is. And I can add things. When I wanted to add something, I just click on it and then click over here on the form, and it would do it. I want to see what it looks like. This is the size of the screen, right? So it's pretty neat. Let's see what it looks like. Now I'm gonna go to view code. Sure, not really. And then go to run. Oh, this yeah, it doesn't matter which one. I'm gonna go click run. This is my bubble sort. Click on run, and you can see I can make an executable file. Now, one thing to notice here, one of the things that Microsoft was praised for is how graphical, even though it was MS-DOS, this is a very graphical program, which is nice. One thing it was criticized for is how big the files are. Now, the files, by comparison of now, they might be nothing. The size means nothing because we have huge hard drives and a lot of memory to do things with. But back then, memory was a big deal. It was expensive, and we used to buy hard drives with 40 megabytes or 200 gigabytes or whatever it was. So memory was very expensive. Let me show you what it looks like. And just because I did this I'm gonna make the executable file only so you can see that it actually works in a Windows. I mean, it's a DOS, but it looks like a Windows file. So I'm gonna make executable. And the first thing it says here, standalone exe or requiring runtime modules. I'm gonna do a standalone. I'm gonna call it bdemo, and when I make it, I'm gonna exit. And so it's gonna compile. There are no errors, and here it is. So I'm gonna go to bbdos, and just so you can see, there is my backup file. There's my executable, 158,000 bytes. It's very big. There's a form. There's the project. The projects have a MAK extension. And obviously there's my object file. So I'm going to do bdemo. And remember, I am in a DOS window using DOSBox. So I click and there it is. Look, it looks just like a Windows. And I click basic math. I can put 3, 4, click calculate. And if I clear, it goes back. If I do functions, it just shows it. If I do logical, I can drive. And my arrays. And again, now it's sorting in ascending order. And I can clear this and exit my program. And it goes back to DOS Windows. Very, very nice. Up next, I'm going to skip a version. Obviously, there's Visual Basic for Windows, Visual Basic, 3, 4, 5, 6, all that. I think it lasted all the way to 6. But I'm going to jump one version. So I'm going to go to Visual Studio. That's my next, the same program, but in Visual Studio. So let's check it out.
Okay, so here we are now in Visual Studio, the same program, but look at the difference. This is Visual Studio. Here's my Solution Explorer. Here are my properties, my error list. Here is form1.visualbasic.bb. Is the design. The same buttons. If I click on any of the buttons, obviously it's going to show me the code, and I'll show you the code right now. Same thing. Has for 2 values. Here's my math functions, and my logical solution, and my array. This is the form designer. This is all the magic. This is done by Visual Studio. I didn't do any of this typing right here. So you have all the windows, all the stuff that needs to be done for this program to work. Here's like new system Windows form label. See, all this stuff, I didn't type any of this. It's done automatically by Visual Studio. A lot of code. It's doing, commands that, obviously I can type it and it will do obviously what it's supposed to do. But Visual Studio is very nice. It does it for us. Now over here, where it says form1db, this is the code that I typed. When every time I double click on a button, it will go over here. It will create the subroutine for that object. And then I can type in what it is, like and if a form is going to be visible, set up the focus. You know, this is code that I actually type. The good thing is I don't have to do any of the buttons and the labels and all that stuff. I mean, Visual Studio is so nice, it does it for us. So there it goes. This is all the code, all the magic. And here's Visual Basic. And let's go ahead and run it. We'll click right here. We'll see how it works. And by the way, I'm using my MacBook Pro version with the M1 processor, I'm sorry. And I'm using Parallels, okay? So I'm actually using a emulator to run this program. And here's my basic demo. Here's my form. If I click basic math, I can put the variables 3 and 4. It adds them up. My math functions. My logical statement. What's my age? I'm gonna put 12, too young to drive. And my array demo, which is, as we stated, a bubble sort, nothing fancy. It's very fast, you know. I can do all of the windows at the same time I want to, and clear each one of them individually as needed. And you notice I haven't ended the program. It's telling me the memory, you know, because this is Visual Studio. It does everything for me. End the program. And that is what this program looks like. Here's the designer right there. Every control in this program, it was done by Visual Studio. Beautiful. Great job to people at Microsoft. And here is my code that I typed. Again, every time I double click on something, let's say I go here and I say, oh, what's the logical button gonna do? Double click on it. Basically, it goes here and, you know, it does this part, and I type in the code that I need. Now, if I want to add a control, just go to my toolbox, and here are the options that I can add. You just click on it and it'll put it in here. Then I can, you know, go to the controls and change, you know, the name, if there's any text, if it's visible, you know, whatever, like for the window, minimum, the maximize, minimize box or maximize box. Everything is done from Visual Studio. It's a very straightforward solution, very easy to do. Obviously, you can see the progression from GW Basic to Quick Basic, and then to Visual Basic for DOS, and then now Visual Studio. It's very, very different. But the good thing is that Visual Studio does a lot of the code for you. You know, you're just doing visually what you want, and it types a lot of stuff. So very nice. Finally, we're gonna go ahead and, you know, I've been doing Microsoft products here, but I'm gonna go ahead and add another one, which is by JOJO, which is a Mac, the Mac version. Since Visual Basic does not work on the Mac, I use a JOJO for that. I am using Parallels, so I'm actually on a Mac right now, but you'll see the difference right now. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so here we are now in JOJO. Once again, same program. This time, however, I'm inside my MacBook. I'm not using the Windows emulator anymore. I'm out of Parallels. Basic demo. Here's my window. Here are my controls. Each control, if I click on it, double click on it actually, add two numbers, you know, make the rectangle visible and set the focus, right? You can always go back and see what my math function does, make the rectangle visible, and you know, do the functions that I need. Each one of these does exactly what it's supposed to do. And over here is where I'm doing some of the calculations, obviously. Some of the windows, like this one, doesn't do anything. Some of this will have text boxes. For example, if I double click on the age one, double click on it, it says, hey, you know, here's a variable declaration, age is integer. And when there's a change on the text box, I'm converting it to a number. I'm getting it to integer. And then I do the if, else, and if, right? Here's my logical for the arrays, obviously it just displays the arrays, and that's all it does. So this box over here is the same. And I'll click on it, it uses control. I'm adding the text box A and B and then displaying it. In JOJO, I can double click something, or I can go over here and just click on it, and then it'll tell me this one quits. This one, it does this bubble sort. So I can do all the buttons, or I can double click the button over here. That's how JOJO works. So if I click run, here's my box. I'll put in 3, 4, or 3 again. And there is 3 plus 3 equals 6. My math functions is all it's going to do is display the values. My logical can drive. How about if I do 34? Now I can drive. Perfect. And then my arrays. And here's the sorting, double sort, and quit. So in JOJO, you cannot actually see the code outside like I did on the other programs, but I can always see the code when I click on the buttons or labels, or whatever there are, text the A, set focus or change. Here it is what it's doing. If there was any properties or anything like that, they would show up in there, but I don't have any right now. And very straightforward. So this is JOJO. This is on a Mac environment. All of the other versions of the basic demo were done using DOSBox, and except for the Visual Studio, which I used with Parallels on my MacBook Pro. I hope you like the demonstration of these programs, the progression of BASIC throughout the years. And if you do, go ahead and click like and subscribe. Thank you very much, and until next week.